All right, welcome. Welcome to Friday Night Live, Dutch, or crack, something about crack. I don't remember what I said before, but welcome to all you guys here. Somebody in the comments can make sure that you can hear me. That would be great. As I try to make sure that everything is working here. Technology, doesn't always agree with me. So it looks like the stream is up and running. Great. Cool. So just quickly for any of you guys that might be watching the replay of this, welcome to Curiosity Public. This is one of our live streams. When we're doing these live streams, what we like to do is crack into bottles that we haven't opened yet. So when we review things and when we talk about them on our main show, we like to make sure the bottle's been open for a little while, because some people believe, that the juice inside will evolve and continue to change or begin to change once the bottle's been opened. So that's kind of the point of these lives that we've been doing. We want to crack into things that have not yet been cracked into. So again, thank you for joining here. Thanks to our members of Curiosity Private. I see a few of you guys here in chat already. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. It means a lot to us. I got CSC Ray in here and Ernie. All right, thank you guys for joining. Looks like audio is working. That is always a plus. There should be some sound effects. I don't know if you guys can hear those sound effects, but they're corny, and I might, mix them in from time to time. Probably not. They're really bad. Let's see. Good. So, a couple questions in here about the port for Marvin. Oh, I see Ray's already answered you. Yes, the Glendronach is aged in. It's actually a second maturation in the port. I think Ray pointed that out. Yeah. I think most of the Glendronachs are aged exclusively in sherry casks. At least I think everything above maybe the 15-year and older. And then with this one, they did a second maturation in port wood. So that should be an interesting one. I've never tried it before, so it'll be my first time cracking into that one here live. And Uncle Buck asks the question I was going to ask next, which is, what is everybody in chat sipping on this evening? You guys go ahead and type that in there. Got a couple of announcements. So first, again, I mentioned Curiosity Private. That's a great way to support the channel. You can also support the channel by dropping a super chat in here. It's another great way to help us out. And then finally, something brand new, which are these guys, our t-shirts. So we've got a few different designs. You might have seen them in some of our recent episodes. We now have our t-shirt shop open on Spread Shop. There should be a link in the description of this video. I'll put a banner up there as well that has the link in it. It's shop.spreadshirt.com/curiosity-public. And you can pick up one of our shirts. We got a few different designs there. Let us know what you like and grab a shirt if you're so inclined. There's, I think, two different shirts fabrics for each one of the designs. There's just like the basic plain shirt, which is actually what I've got on here. And then there's the kind of tri-blend, really nice soft one. Those do fit a little bit tighter if you guys are curious about the sizing on those. So huge thank you to Andrew for the super chat. Andrew, you're awesome. Thank you so much for helping us out with that. Great way to kick the night off here. And I got to get something poured because I'm drying my throat out with all this nonsense I'm talking here. So the first one I'm going to crack into is going to be this bad boy right here. This is the Nikka Pure Malt White Label. So if you've seen this bottle in the past, it used to look like this. This is the black label version of it that, was pretty common. The white label's apparently a new formulation they've done, and this is unopened. These really are part of Dillon's stash. I wasn't kidding when I was putting that in the description. He brought a bunch of his unopened stuff here to the set because we were going to try to film stuff and we didn't get to it. And I'm just going to crack into it. So here's the white label Nikka Pure Malt. Now the old style, the black label, has always been one of my favorite of the Nikka lineup. I do like the blend a lot. I think it's just a well-balanced whiskey. If you like Japanese whiskey, it's a fantastic, very approachable one. And it also has a lot of depth of flavor despite being, 43% alcohol. You can really spend a lot of time with it will open up and be quite interesting. So here's the first pour of the night. Let's crack into this Nikka white label pure malt. And I'm going to have to be labeling these because I think last time I just completely forgot what some of my glasses were. So this is the pure malt white label. All right, so let me catch up on the chat here real quick. So the Bourbon Collect, welcome, another one of our members. Started off with a pour of Weller Special Reserve. Maybe Old Forester single barrel proof store pick. I'm guessing that's what the amazing acronym is there. Crest Liquor had some. All right, good to know. Andrew's cracking into some CYPB. All right. John C. just got his shirt today. All right, John, awesome. He was one of our winners from the big live stream we did 3 weeks ago. So good. Glad that made it there. Uncle Buck is drinking Lot A, it sounds like. Turkey 101. Highland Park cask strength for Eric. Awesome. And all right. Looks like some good stuff here. John Mendoza, thank you very much for the super chat. Cheers. How do you beat the bots on websites like K&L? I got to remember I can highlight comments here, guys. That is a great question. There's some Instagram accounts and things like that that will post as soon as things pop up on K&L, and that's pretty much the best way, I think, unless you have a way to, I don't know, like snipe it somehow. I don't know. I'm not tech savvy enough. I've lucked out a couple of times just seeing posts on it and being able to get on the site fast enough, but it's pretty hard. It's very hard. Usually when I end up on the site, it's sold out already. So, all right. Silent Screams asks, is your background in IT or medical field? At first I was like, you mean like this background? It's just junk. But no, I am definitely not IT or medical. All right. So let me see how the white label, the new pure malt is here. The nose is a little bit more intense than what I recall. I'm going to pour a little bit of the black label to do a comparison here. I think that would be smart, right? In the name of science, you know? So I can do a good side-by-side. Now, they got rid of the gold screw top. I kind of liked the gold screw top on the old bottle. So I'm going to make sure I label here. I think our first big live stream we did, I mixed up my glasses and I couldn't tell which one I had poured the birthday bourbon in. That was kind of embarrassing. So yeah, off the bat here, the nose on the newly formulated white label, definitely a little more intense. Now, I don't know if that's just because it's a brand new bottle that I just opened, but it's definitely a little punchier. I mean, there's a little bit of sourness coming through. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with Nikka, going off my memory, this is a blend of distillate from the two main Nikka distilleries, or I guess the only two Nikka distilleries, which are the Uishi and the Miyagikyo, which I always mispronounce. And I think this one is higher percentage of Miyagikyo, and I can't remember which one's which. I think one of them is a little bit more peated than the other. I do pick up a little bit of that, I think. So the color also is a little bit different. The new formulation, you probably can't pick it up on there. This is the new formulation, and it definitely is a little bit lighter in color. I don't know if you can tell compared to this one, which is just a touch darker, which is the old black label. So let me check the palette on the new white label. Well, it's very mellow. A really nice finish comes through. That's where some of the smoke, a little bit of like almost like a salty, briny thing coming through on the finish there. I don't know. First sip, so I can never really tell. Let me take another sip here. Wow, it's a very drinkable dram. It goes down very, very easily. And you almost, it almost feels like there's not going to be anything there, and then all of a sudden it just hits you with this massive finish. So it's really nice. The finish is much richer than the palate on the new formulation. Let me do a little sip here of the old formulation. It's been a little while since I've had this. I think last time I had it was actually when we filmed our Nikka drink through, so it's been quite a few months. Huh. The finish is not nearly as intense. And again, I don't know if it's the factor of this bottle having been open for a while, maybe. It's a little bit more intense on the palate. It's almost like they've swapped the palate and the finish on these two formulations. I mean, there are definitely differences. It's kind of like the same blueprint at the base there, but the execution is very different. Let me take another sip of the black label here. It's evolving a little bit. Wow, the finish is still excellent. It's just less intense, but still a lot of the same flavors, really nice flavors. All right, let me catch up on the chat here, guys. Sorry. Multitasking. All right, good. Not a ton, so I didn't miss too much good. So we got some conversation going on about Ardbeg. We will be getting to the Ardbeg 10. And all right. Pirate bottle, yeah. I think Dillon was telling me that he just got that Ardbeg. So I know he's prepping for a big Ardbeg drink through. We're trying to collect a few more of them before doing anything like that. So, okay. So again, if you're just joining us, welcome. I'm cracking into 3 bottles here. The Nikka Pure Malt new formulation white label is the first one. Still drinking this one and comparing it to the old formulation, the black label. So far, I don't know that I could pick a favorite. I think the white label seems to have a little bit more of an intense finish and a little bit more of an intense nose. I'm not convinced that the flavors are significantly different, though. So let me go back and do one more time here. Wow, the palate is just so mellow. And then all this warmth comes up, bringing a bunch of flavor with it. So it's certainly very high on the drinkability level. Let me cleanse the palate here a little bit. So Uncle Buck, yes, the Ardbeg drink through, that will be a happy day. We definitely are planning on it. We're trying to get a few more, like I said, so I don't know exactly when we're going to end up filming that one, but we want to have more than what we have right now, so we will keep working on it. The Springbank one is almost ready. I've got maybe one more bottle for that, and then we'll try to crank that one out. Yeah, this is quite interesting. So through the whole tasting here, it's been pretty consistent. The new formulation, I feel like, is a little bit softer on the palate, more intense on the finish. The old black label was a little bit more on the palate and a little bit weaker on the finish. Hard to really pick a favorite. The flavors are very similar. You know, the nose, maybe a little bit more intense on the new formulation. I maybe have a slight preference for the old formulation. Again, this bottle's been open for, you know, probably, I don't know, 10 months at this point. So it's probably opened up a bit more than the freshly cracked white label one that I just opened right now. So that might have something to do with it. Always hard to tell. All right, let me make sure we're good here. All right, nice. Okay, make sure you hit that thumbs up button as well. I always forget to remind people to do that, but it does help the channel as well. So thanks to all you guys. Jeff commenting here, yes, about the activity on KNL, the bot activity. It is insane. Yeah, you know, like I said, I've lucked out. I think maybe only twice. I think I was able to get their Old Forester barrel proof store pick that they did, and I got one other thing. The Doc Swinson doesn't disappear immediately when they put it up, so I was able to get the Swinson from KNL. There was something else I got that was, I think the Springbank cask strength, when that came out, I was able to grab that as well before it all got gobbled up. The bourbons I think go a lot quicker, especially the really rare stuff. So yeah, I don't know how to beat those bots. Somebody's got to figure it out. Yeah, overall, I mean, I've always enjoyed this dram. I'd have a hard time saying that the new formulation is really any better or worse. It's fine. It's quite similar, not drastically different. So, I wouldn't necessarily stock up on the old one if you really liked it. You're going to find most of what you like, I think, in this white label. Like maybe a little bit less intense. So maybe I do have a slight preference for the old one, but it's not a huge difference. So, all right. So these very interesting bottles. Glad I have finally tried them. Okay. So Jeff says last time he got lucky, I'm assuming with regarding K&L, right? Was with the Blanton store pick late last year, I believe. Yeah. I think you gotta have a lot of luck. You gotta make your own luck. And yeah, as the Bourbon Collect says there, make your own bots. Yeah. You can't beat them, right? All right. So Uncle Buck says, Dutch, what are your observations in the evaluation in whiskey drinkers? So when I'm evaluating whiskey drinkers, or how whiskey drinkers evaluate their whiskey, what are my observations in the evaluation in whiskey drinkers? I might need some clarification on that question, but you mean what do I look for, or how do I taste things? What's the process for me? You can clarify that. Sorry, maybe I'm not understanding. Maybe I need another sip of scotch before I answer that question. Generally my approach to tasting is I like to be a little bit methodical about it. That's kind of one of the reasons we came up with this scoring criteria. Besides the fact that it leads to good discussion in a group setting, it actually gives you some things to focus on as you're drinking it. And I do think that helps. A lot of times I'll watch somebody review something and they'll just kind of give their general comments about it. But going through it methodically, talking about the nose, talking about the way it hits the palate, talking about the way it hits the finish, and then everything in between, the mouthfeel, all those kind of intangibles, the price point, the value, all that stuff, I think is quite important. So maybe you'll give me a little more direction and I'll answer your question better. Speaking of price, I forgot to mention it. The Nikka usually will run you the Taketsuru, I want to say around somewhere between 60 and 80. I've seen it usually around the $70, $75 range. I've been able to find it. And I think that the new white label is priced similarly. So that is good. So yeah, Ernie mentioning here the new announcement of a new Foursquare. Yeah, seriously, we are going to need to do a new Foursquare drink through. There are so many. And we've accumulated a few more. We haven't even been able to get the review of, I think, the last two out yet. So it might make more sense for us to just grab one or two more of them and then do a drink through. If we, for us, getting a review out quickly is hard just because of our logistics. We might be able to do a live with it quickly, but not a full detailed breakdown. But yeah, Foursquare is just cranking out, and everything I've had has been pretty damn good. So that's impressive. All right, Uncle Buck says, yes, sorry, too much to drink. You nailed it. Any comments a review will say that you cringe at? Well, aside from the obvious, it's very smooth. It's funny, I just happened to watch this video clip today, and these guys weren't whiskey reviewers, so I'm not faulting them for that, but they were just kind of like, they had like some office guys try things or something like that. I don't know. And they were from the UK, and they were drinking a bunch of bourbons, and yeah, the only I didn't watch very much of it, but they took a sip and they're like, oh, wow, that's so smooth. Yeah, that's smooth. It's easy to drink. That just doesn't tell me anything. So I didn't cringe at smooth, even though, sometimes that is a good way to describe an aspect of the tasting experience, but it's just such a small part of it that, yeah, I do cringe a little bit at that now. And I have said it, so I cringe at myself when I watch any of our videos all the time. So that's nothing new. Okay, so I'm going to crack into the next bottle here. And I think the next one I'm going to go for is the Glendronach Port Wood. I mean, what a beautiful canister. And I mean, it's very photogenic. Because I think the Ardbeg is going to be probably a little more intense. And I think the Glendronach might be the better one to jump to next. Wow, I love their packaging. 46% alcohol. Very nice that they do put on there that it is non-chill filtered. If that will focus, yeah, non-chill filtered, natural cask imparted color, because they can add coloring to Scotch, but when they label it like this, you know that they didn't do that. So let me get into this one. Yes, so another unopened bottle here, and they've matched that kind of maroon purplish color motif on the bottle. Fantastic looking bottle. Look at that. Yeah, no age statement on this. We just know that there's that second maturation in port. And this says it's enriched by a second maturation in the finest port pipes from the Douro, D-O-U-R-O Valley in Portugal. I know very little about port. I've tried a few different ports. I don't despise it the way Dillon does. But actually, he doesn't despise it. He just says it disagrees with him. But I am not at all an aficionado in it. So let's see how this port finish affects the Glendronach. So port and sherry, from my understanding, are, I don't know, related. Although I think port is only with red grapes, whereas I think sherry is mostly with white grapes. So again, don't quote me on that. Somebody more knowledgeable about this, I'm sure, can answer that question. So, all right. But it does have to come from Portugal, port, right? I don't even know. Should I say something about Scotland or Portugal when I open that? All right. Okay, that was a healthy pour. Nice. So Glendronach in general, I've been quite impressed with. I didn't know very much about it until I started getting the bottles together for our drink through, and I kind of fell in love with it as I was going through that. So I'm going to give this one a little bit of time to open up. I mean, the initial nose, though, it's really nice, which is a bad descriptor, which whiskey reviewers should not use. It doesn't tell you anything about this. So let me try that again. Yeah, it's kind of like a layered nose. There's this underlying slightly smoky, maybe a little bit of peat, Scotch, general barley kind of distillate smell, with this layer of grapey sweetness. It's not, the grape doesn't really power through, but there's a layer of kind of like this sugary sweetness on top of it. It's subtle. Again, I think this needs to open up a little bit, so I'm just going to let it sit for a couple minutes here and check out the chat and get a little more water. All right, let's see, where did I leave off here? So Ray says, I was able to grab the Total Wine Store Pick and the Redoubtable the other day. My body is happy with all the Foursquare releases, but my wallet is not. Yep, that's how they get you. They just kind of keep cranking them out. Doug says, have I tried the Dalmore Port or the Balvenie 21 Port? I have not tried either of those. I've had the Dalmore, I think, the Dominion, which I don't think is port. I think that one is sherry. So I'm not familiar with either of those releases. All right. Vortex 1988 Glendronach is delicious. Yes, I concur. It has become one of my more favorite in the Scotch realm. Bourbon Collect here. I friggin' love Glendronach, but I've only had the 15 and 18 and a sample of cask strength, which was awesome. Yeah, both the 15 and 18, excellent. That's just the best way to describe them. They're sherry bombs, but there's so much flavor in there. They're well balanced, and I kind of feel like they really do progress. I mean, the 12 is great. I mean, if you saw our drink through, I think we kind of said this there, but it just kind of increases in intensity and complexity as you go up in the years. Any one of them, you're going to get a great snapshot of that flavor profile, but it's kind of just depends on how much do you want to spend and how intense do you want that flavor experience to be, because the 21 is just fantastic. Yes, don't be afraid to hit the like button. That means thumbs up. That helps us. Oh, great question here from Arthur. What do you think about Glendronach removing the non-chill filtered sign off their bottles? Yeah, I read that recently. You know, some people say, or I think somebody was, maybe Ralphie was talking. I don't know. I don't know if I read it or somebody was talking about it, but you know, some people take that as a sign that, you know, the change from when the distillery was bought. Now it's going to be this focus on more mass producing and getting more stuff out there, and maybe a dip in quality. I don't know. I do like non-chill filtration. I think it's, you know, I mean, I can't even see anything in this bottle. I don't know why people would complain about a non-chill filtered whiskey. I would like to think that they're not going to sacrifice any quality in that process. But, you know, it's easy to try to judge it just based on a press release and speculation. But I'll give it a chance. We'll just have to try it. We'll see if any of the other stuff changes. If they take away the nomenclature about no added colorings and things like that, then maybe, you know, maybe you're going to see some more significant changes. So we'll just have to see. All right. Another super chat here from the Bourbon Collect. Thank you guys so much. Very much appreciate it. Thank you for your support. And by the way, guys, if you don't follow the Bourbon Collect on Instagram, or if you're on YouTube, you really should. You want to see some of the best footage of like bottle openings and some great reviews as well. You got to make sure you're following them. Awesome content, guys. Cheers. All right, let me see if this has opened up at all. The Portwood Finish Glendronach. Again, beautiful bottle. That color grading on the label of the kind of the lighter color to the darker, I just think it looks slick. Yeah, you can definitely get. I was going to say sherry, but it's like sherry plus something, and that must be the port coming through that layer of sweetness on top of kind of like the more traditional Scotch flavors. Really nice, really nice. Let me see how it tastes. First sip here. Oh, wow. Okay, so it definitely evolves on the finish. I'm going to have to give it another sip to really dig into this one. I might need to open up a little bit more. Second sip was a little more intense, a little bit harsh, actually. So let me fix my palate here. Wow. Yeah, it's an interesting finish. The way there's kind of like peaks and valleys in it. There's an initial almost like a spice hit on the palate, which is really nice. I want to let it open up a little bit more. So I think that will kind of dissipate and become a little bit of a sweeter hit. And then on the finish, there's this initial bump that reads like a slightly sweeter sherry finish, and maybe that's the port coming through. And then there's a dip, and then it kind of comes back with some of the more traditional Scotch unsherried flavors there with like a second wave. So I will jump back into the chat here for a second. Yeah, Ernie says, people stare when I open containers for Glendronach, still can't find the 2019 Glendronach 18. Yes. And for those of you that don't know, they were bought, and there was a period of time when the distillery was kind of just on hold, and a bunch of stuff sat in the barrels for, I think it was like 4 or 5 years. So I think up until next year, or I think maybe this year, the 2018 switched over, or I think the 2020. Yeah, last year, the 18 year caught up kind of with the production. But I think if you find the 2019 18-year-old Glendronach, it's actually, I want to say 22-year-old. The 21-year-old Glendronach will this year, I think, be like a 25. I have to check. Somebody on Reddit did a chart, and you can actually see the specific year and then how old the distillate really is, despite the labeling. So, all right. So Jason says the quality's already dropped. This isn't the first sign; it's the final nail. So yeah, I don't really have a good frame of reference for it because I have had some of the old stuff with the 21-year-old. But for instance, the bottle of the 18 that I have is, I guess, the newer juice. It's still non-chill filtered, so I don't know if there'll be a drop off after that in quality. I'll have to see. But it looks like there are other changes here. Jason's schooling us, guys. So good info here that they transitioned to steam heat. I assume we're still talking about Glendronach. All right, interesting. All right, let me jump back into this one. So the port wood, again, non-age stated. I believe this bottle is around $100. Somebody can double check that for me. It might be a little bit under that. I don't know that you're getting a better whiskey than maybe the 15 or the 18. There's something a little bit different going on with it, but it's a little bit less rich. The mouthfeel is a little bit thinner than what I recall with the bottle of 18 that I had recently, and maybe even with the 15. So, maybe those are a little bit more. I would maybe consider springing for those over this. I don't know. I could see this really evolving over time too. And by the time we end up doing our next Glendronach drink through and crack back into this, maybe it will really have opened up. I think a lot of these things that are finished with sherry and port, the sweetness can intensify as the bottles are left open, depending on the bottle, obviously. But I would venture to guess that there could be some evolution to this. So I'll leave this one out here. I'll probably come back to it a couple times and see if it opens up some more. Okay. So Vortex says, yeah, Dutch, the last year for the extra age 18 was 2019. It was actually 24-year-old. Yeah, there you go. So it's back to the 18 for the 2020 bottlings. Yeah, I think the bottling I had was a 2020. Yeah, pretty sure. And I guess I could check our drink here. All right, Andrew, thank you for the super chat. You should try the Glenmorangie 12-year finished in Malaga casks. Yes, I think we have that one, and we were going to do a review of it. I don't actually see it, but yeah, that is definitely on our list. I know Dillon had that bottle. It's already open, so I didn't grab it for tonight, but we do want to get that one out. All right, so Jason points out that all that said, he still enjoys Glendronach. Yeah, me too. Okay, Peter has a good question here. Favorite Foursquare rum? Have you tried the Redoubtable? Yes, I've tried the Redoubtable. Really hard to pick. Really hard to pick. I think I mentioned this earlier in the stream because Foursquare came up. And in the chat, guys, why don't you guys all answer Peter's question as well? Any of you that have tried a bunch of the Foursquares, do you have a favorite? I think I would have to go back to the year ones, the 2007 and the 2008 being possibly the best of the bunch. Most of the named cask strength ones have been absolutely excellent as well. So I think it kind of just depends on what your flavor preferences are, but I have a hard time picking a favorite, honestly, of them. So I would say if you haven't tried the year ones, like the 2007 or the 2008, you can probably still find those out there. The 2008, I'm just looking at our leaderboard over here, is our second highest scoring spirit that we've ever scored on our Ultimate Spirits competition. I should just grab the board. We haven't had to pull it out for a while because nothing was scored super high. But yeah, as you can see there, Foursquare 2008, second highest score on the board. Stag, Glenmorangie 18, Hennessy XO, Doc Swinson, and Highland Park cask strength, kind of rounding it out there. So, a tough question. All right, Tibbs, another one of our members. Thanks again for supporting the channel. I'm having a cigar and the exact same Ardbeg. I must be curious. Indeed. All right. Awesome. I'm about to crack into that one. That's the last one on my list here. And then I've got another viewer choice for the final pour of the evening. So I'll get to that in a little bit. All right. Can you tell the difference here? Uncle Buck says, can you tell the difference between Scotch and bourbon drinkers and people that drink both? Feel free to ignore if this is controversial. Oh, man. Sometimes. I don't think it's controversial. I think it's easy to get into one or the other and then kind of do that really deep dive and then kind of forget about the rest of the world. A lot of bourbon drinkers do that. They get so sucked into the hype and, the Pokemon, got to get them all. Got to get that new special release. Oh, this distillery's got a new special release. I got to get that. Got to get this. And you kind of forget that there's all this other stuff out there. And that's actually been one of the most exciting things about doing this channel, where we're kind of just like, dude, we're going to try everything. So for me personally, it's been a fun experience opening up to a lot more of the other spirits that I didn't used to drink as much or as frequently. So can you tell the difference between Scotch and bourbon drinkers? No, I think it just kind of depends on where you start. And I think there's a lot of similarity, and I think it's easy to cross over. And it just kind of depends on how you're guided. But I think for most bourbon drinkers, there's plenty of Scotch that you can try and taste and realize, wow, that's really, really good. And vice versa. So I don't know, maybe I'm being too diplomatic and I should just call people out. All right, Ernie says he prefers the 2008. Yeah, excellent choice. So definitely cannot go wrong with the Foursquare 2008. It is absolutely fantastic. So guys, if you have not already noticed the banner running at the bottom of the screen here, we do have our t-shirt shop open. You can pick up this shirt and a number of other shirts. You've seen some of them in some of the videos. Our last live stream, we gave some of them away. And there's even a few designs in there that you haven't seen because we haven't worn them on the show. So check them out. Grab a shirt if you want to help the channel out. And I'm going to crack into the Ardbeg 10. Now, it didn't come like this. So I was looking through Dillon's stash, and basically he just dropped off a bunch of bottles here. And I saw this abomination. And I like, what the heck is this? So I don't know if this is a normal thing or if this was just a special release, but the bottle of Ardbeg 10 came inside of this giant metal dog bone. See that? It fits right in there, I guess. And they sell it like this. I don't get it. I guess it's a collector's item. I don't know what you're supposed to do with this, but I think it's some sort of a tribute. There's some information on the back about Shorty. Oh, so this is, yeah, okay, so this is Ardbeg Distillery's loyal canine mascot, Shorty. Look at that little puppy there. So I guess to honor Shorty, they put Ardbeg 10 in a metal fake bone so that Shorty wouldn't eat it, but that you can open it because you have opposable thumbs and drink the whiskey that's inside. Okay, I should do the rim shot. So I'm just going to nose this Glendronach again. And the sweetness is intensifying as it's sitting open. The nose is getting better for sure. A little bit sweeter on the palate. The finish is just a little wonky for me. It's inconsistent. And there's this weird spice component that's popping through. I don't know why that is. That's really strange. I'll revisit that again because it's evolving. Okay, so Ardbeg 10. I've never had Ardbeg 10 before, believe it or not. I have not gotten super deep into Ardbeg, but I've liked everything I've tried, and I've only tried a couple of them, honestly. So I'm excited to get a lot deeper into it because I know that when we reviewed the Corey Vrecken, I thought it was excellent. Great tasting whiskey. And we're getting into peat and smoke world here with Ardbeg, which I don't I don't dislike it, but it's not what I tend to seek out, if I'm honest. I'm always honest, if I'm frank. So I do like it, though. So it just, for me, it's always a question of intensity, right? I think I told this anecdote about Highland Park, as it was one of those first scotches I got into, and I loved it, but it was so intense that I didn't want to. I couldn't drink a lot of it. Like, I'd pour myself a little dram of it, and I would just kind of sit there and nurse it for an hour because it's just intense and it captures all of my attention, and I can't do anything else while I'm sipping it. And I don't know that I would say Ardbeg is the same way for me. We'll see, because I haven't had this one before. So this is kind of one of their cheaper offerings from what I recall. 10 years old, aged, Islay, single malt Scotch whiskey. I believe that there is no added coloring for Ardbeg. Somebody can check me on that. It certainly doesn't look like it because it's very, very light in color. Hopefully that's going to be very, very light in color. I can smell it from here, so I'm getting that briny smokiness. I'm going to let it sit for a second before I even nose it. So take a quick look at, wow, I can smell it. I mean, the glass is on the counter here, and yeah, that's intense. That is intense. So let me catch up on chat here, guys. All right, Ron says 2008 is badass. That said, I find anything Scotch less than 18 kind of bland and don't want to spring for the higher years. Give me a Texas single malt. I'm good to go. All right. Yeah, Luke says Dillon got that at the pet store. I think you're probably right. I don't know where he got that. All right. Huey points out that they have a couple of special boxes for the 10-year. So there you go. This is just one of those things. I know we have the one that's in the smoker. I think that's the Anoa one. And it comes in like this little metal smoker that you can use as a smoker. I should have brought it up here, but I was thinking about doing that one, but I think it was already open, so I grabbed the 10-year instead. Okay, Ray says, yes, it's normal Ardbeg 10 in special packaging. They called it the Ardbone. That's funny. Is that just like people call it that, or did they actually put it on here? That would be pretty funny if they did put it on here, but wow. This contains 1 bottle of Ardbeg 10-year-old whiskey. Okay, nice. That's funny. They also did a release in a box shaped like the distillery. That is pretty cool. Nice. All right, catching up here. All right. Jurgensen C6, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Greatly appreciated. He's loving the channel and the podcasts too. Keep them coming. Awesome. I think we just dropped a podcast today about March Madness. I don't know. It's actually, I do all the editing for the YouTube channel, but I do almost nothing for the podcast except show up. So that's actually been a relief for me. So that's all. Dillon does all the editing, and then Jules handles the uploads and all that stuff for that. So I never know when they're coming out. I just get sent a file to say, hey, listen to this, make sure it's okay, and we didn't say anything too controversial. But thanks again for the support, and thanks for listening to our ravings on our podcasts. And if you guys have not checked out our podcast and you listen to podcasts, you can find it pretty much anywhere you listen to your podcasts. So you can, they usually are around 20 minutes or so. They're not super long. We've got some that are longer. And we cover a bunch of random topics. All right. I can, man, this aroma is so intense. I mean, I can smell it from so far away. Yeah, Jason says there, yeah, the Anoa comes in one that looks like a charcoal barbecue starter. And I think it's actually functional. That's what Dillon was saying. I don't know if that's actually true or not. All right, let me catch up here. All right, Mark, thank you so much. Another member, another super chat. Thank you so much. And he just snagged a bottle of Tears of Llorona. Can't wait to try it. Cheers to you. Hey, what a fantastic bottle. Yeah, I actually recently picked up a new bottle, one of the new releases. I think it's got the knot, like a symbol of a knot on the label, which I think is the newest one. They are batched, and they all are a little bit different. The one that we reviewed and got a diamond status is actually from, I believe, 1.5 years ago. And I have not done a side-by-side. I think the newest releases just on the looking at the bottles, they're a little bit lighter. The flavor profile is very similar, so I want to try them side by side so we can kind of let everybody know, hey, maybe the newer batches are a little different, maybe they're a little better, maybe they're not quite as intense. I don't know. I have tried it, and I think it's excellent. It's such a fantastic. I hate to even call it a tequila because it's so much more than that. And maybe we'll do that side by side for Cinco de Mayo live. We're thinking about doing something tequila related that day. So thanks again for the support. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna give you my thoughts here on the Ardbeg 10. I mean, I can already tell you the nose is intense. Yeah. That kind of sour, almost rubbery, smoky, peaty smell. It's very intense. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are initially really turned off with that smell. It's not that way for me. I'm kind of almost in the middle. I like smelling it. But every time I smell it, my brain's kind of telling me that smells interesting, but you shouldn't drink that. Yeah, iodine, almost earthiness is kind of what I would call it. But the more you smell it, there's a sweetness that starts to creep in. It's almost like you have to inure yourself to the peat in order to get to that sweetness, because there is some sweetness underneath that. Yeah, very, very nice. I mean, intense. All right, let's check the palate here. Wow. Wow. It's, I don't know how to describe this. I'm going to take another sip. I'm laughing because the analogy I'm thinking of is absolutely horrible. And it won't make any sense, but I'll say it anyway, which is imagine you're drinking a cola, right? Like a Coke or a Pepsi. But then imagine you're drinking Crystal Pepsi. And imagine instead of it washing over your palate with sweetness, it's washing it over with this kind of essence of barbecue. I don't know. It makes sense in my brain. I mean, it's so crisp on the palate, and then this intense aroma that it's like what hits your nose, but it just kind of comes right as it's getting to the finish on the palate, and just boom, here's this flavor explosion. Great. This is a great dram. I can't believe it's taking me so long to try this. Wow, that's fantastic. It's super drinkable. It's wow. Yeah, I want to let this one open up a little bit too. I don't know how much more it's going to open up, but it's quite enjoyable. Wow. But I could definitely say, I mean, if you really despise the peaty flavors, you probably won't like this very much. At the same time, it's so drinkable, and on the palate, it's actually not super intense. It all kind of hits you right as you're swallowing it. Maybe a transition, maybe a gateway. Probably a little bit too intense on the peat to be a good gateway, but yeah, wow. Yeah, I would applaud Ardbeg. That's excellent. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to our upcoming Ardbeg drink through. Wow. All right, I'm going to let that one sit for a second. I'm going to cleanse my palate. I'm going to go back to the Glendronach and see if it's changed at all. All right. I'm so happy that I labeled these because I would have no idea otherwise. That's all I know is them. Wow. I mean, so here's an amazing thing. I mean, these two bottles are both called Scotch. They taste nothing alike. I think the variation you can get in Scotch can be pretty mind-blowing, especially if you're just a bourbon drinker and you only drink bourbon. There's there is some variation in bourbon, but you're operating within this bandwidth, right? When you get to Scotch, it's like, here's maybe the core Scotch flavors, but man, here's some non-peated sherry finish stuff. Here's some super heavily peated, super smoky stuff. There's a lot more in there, and it can be daunting. It's definitely not for everybody, but the Glendronach, I don't think it's opened up much since the last time I tasted it. Bit of raisin on the nose. It's a little more clearly defined. There is some sort of a white grape flavor in there too. Yeah, it's still got this weird spicy hit on the palate for me. I don't know why. It's not off-putting. It's I just don't know that I would pick it over any of the age-stated ones. I think that if you have all the other Glendronach, or you've tried a couple of them and you want to try one that's maybe got a little bit of something different on the palate, maybe it's a good one to try. I don't know. Okay, let's take a look at the comments here. So Ron cannot handle the peat, can't handle the smell of the iodine. All right, hey, it's not for everybody. Ray says, poured the black. It might be my favorite special release since Dark Cove. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I've not been able to track down a bottle of it. We're trying to get one for the drink through. Uncle Buck points out here that he never liked it, and then all of a sudden he did. I think it's definitely an acquired taste. I think you can build up to it. And like I said, as I was nosing the Ardbeg 10, my first few noses, all I got was that really intense peaty thing. And then all of a sudden, after a few sniffs, you start to be able to pick up this sweetness that's underneath it. And it's really nice the way that the flavors play off of each other. So, and on the palate, it's not unpleasant. It's got a little bit of sweet, kind of clear, crisp sweetness to it, and then this wash of peaty smokiness, which is quite nice. All right. Is that Ardbeg box a tooth? Yeah, it's supposed to be a bone, like a dog bone, because this is the Ardbeg dog. The peatiest nose on Isla, apart from Ardbeg, that is Shorty, the dog. So 46% alcohol. I can't remember the price point on this. I want to say it's like 40 or 50. I think it's one of the not super expensive ones. I should double check the price on it. I should know it, right? I should have done my homework, but that's kind of the beauty of these lives, is that usually I'm just grabbing things I haven't tried and I haven't done any homework on them. So you're just getting my unadulterated reaction. I can't spell Ardbeg. Looks like Ardbeg 10 will cost you, it looks like, depending on where you get it, it'll be around $60, 50 to 60. So, yeah, not insane. All right. Catching up, guys. Sorry. The software that we're using for our lives, the chat does come through a little bit delayed, so I apologize. I'm really slow here. Oh, Ernie, thank you so much for the support. Love the live streams. Would like to see at least one of these a month. Yeah, we're definitely going to try to do that, even if it's just me coming over here and cracking open some unopened stuff. As far as getting everybody together, it just depends on our filming schedule. It's juggling schedules and getting everybody to the same place. So I want to try to do them, at least every other week or so. Again, even if it's just me coming over here and cracking some stuff open. So thank you again for the support, Ernie. I think you were our very first member of Curiosity Private. So thank you for the continued support. It is very much appreciated. All right. I think I'm mostly some good comments here. Tebe says the sweetness really hits on the finish. Uncle Buck, crisp, great description. Yeah. And he says $50. Yeah. Total Wine had it when it came up here for $54.99. So, all right. Well, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter stream, so I apologize, guys. Let's see. Marvin asks, are you guys at an off-site location filming this stuff? Yeah, we are off-site, so this is not any of our homes, but I am very close and I can walk here, so that's why it's easiest for me to come and do these lives. The other guys, not so much. So it's just scheduling, juggling life and hobby. Okay, I'm gonna give this Glendronach one last taste. I don't think anything's changed. The raisin's definitely coming through a little bit more on the nose, that kind of dark fruit. Yeah, the palate is just not really blowing me away. It's good. There's a little bit of that jammy dark fruit coming through. Finish is a little quick, and it's same description. It's just kind of uneven tasting. So killed that Glendronach. Let me see how the Ardbeg has evolved. The nose, I don't think the nose is going to have changed much. No. Maybe a little bit less intense on the peatiness. Yeah, crisp, clean, and then this wash of peaty smokiness. It's almost like the palate is not very intense. It's very drinkable in that regard, but then you get this kind of wash of peaty smokiness, which is really nice, really nice. So I'm glad I finally tried this. Uncle Buck, thank you so much for the support, my man. You guys were my first channel. I love your thoughts. Thank you for what you're doing. Better today than it's ever been. Cheers. Cheers to you as well. Thank you for the support. I'm assuming by first channel, you mean the old one, which was the Bourbon Guild. And, it's been interesting getting back into YouTube after kind of being off for, almost a year, I think. And realizing that we really were one of the few channels that was that had a process. There were a lot of people that would throw up a review of this or that. But it's been kind of surprising. I don't know. I guess I didn't realize that there were just so few really doing it back then, and that we were one of those few. And it's been awesome to get back at it. So thank you, Uncle Buck, for the support. Very much appreciated. Edward Fulmer in the house. Cheers, my man. Welcome. All right, guys. So I've cracked open the 3 bottles that I came here to crack open. But wait, there's more. That's right. I grabbed a couple of other bottles thinking, all right, we'll give viewer choice here. I know there's a bunch of other streams going on, and I understand it if you guys want to go check those out. No hard feelings. I just, we do these when we can do them. I'm going to label my Ardbeg. I don't need to label the Ardbeg. I'm going to know which one that is. Okay, so I got 3 bottles here, and you guys can kind of just type in the comments which one you would like me to crack into, and I'll crack into one more here. And they're all bourbons, actually. So the first one is Buffalo Trace. Wait for it. Yeah, a Storpic. This is a Bounty Hunter wine, Storpic of Buffalo Trace, 45% alcohol. I've been gathering up a few of these because we've done a couple in this series comparing single barrels to Storpics to non-Storpics. We did one with Weller 107, and we did one with Blanton's, and we're working on one here for Buffalo Trace. And this was picked up for that, unopened. Need to open it up. So that's a contender. Next up, sorry, the Ardbeg 10 is coming up here and fighting me. Next one up is has just hit the West Coast here. The Rebel Yell 100. 50% alcohol. Rebel Yell, big fan, or not Rebel Yell anymore. It's just called Rebel. I actually got a bottle of the regular Rebel Yell. I couldn't believe it. It was in a grocery store for $8.99. I never seen it that cheap, so I grabbed a bottle of that. That's sitting over there. So if we pick this one, maybe I'll do a quick side-by-side. But we did bourbon, Luxco, which just got bought by MGP. They traditionally have sourced their whiskey from Heaven Hill Distillery. Who knows what's going to happen with the MGP acquisition? We'll have to see. So that's another contender. And the third one, which I have a sneaking suspicion people are going to want to see the most, is 1792 Sweet Wheat. Now, this one is, I think it's from like 2 years ago. I think this is a 2018. And yeah, believe it or not, this was acquired back in the Bourbon Guild days, and we just never got around to it. And it's just sad. It made its way to like the back of my shelf, and I grabbed it the other day and realized, look, it's still unopened. Maybe I need to crack into this, and I've had it before many times. I've just never cracked open this bottle of it. So those three, type in the comments which one you think you would like to see. So we got Buffalo Trace Store Pick, Rebel Yell 100, and 1792 Sweet Wheat. I'll let that run for a little bit. Even if it's just one person picking, it doesn't matter. All right, I'll take a quick look here at the comments. So, Dutch, have you tried Wee Beastie? I think I have. I'm trying to remember if that's one of the ones that, like I said, I've only tried a couple of Ardbegs. And I know the Coy Vrecken was one of them, and there was one other one I've tried, and I wish I could remember off the top of my head which it is. So I'm looking forward to getting school on more of them when we do our drink through. Thank you, Uncle Buck. Appreciate it. Maybe compare the Glendronach port finish with the Glenmorangie 14. That would be interesting. That would be an interesting one. Yeah, I think that's the one that they did have a 12-year version of it as well, right? Because I think we've got both of those, because we're also kind of in the back of our minds thinking about a Glenmorangie drink through. But there's just so many Glenmorangies that come through. All right. So Brenton says, store picks are always superior in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, they definitely can be. So if you watch our video where we did the Weller 107 store picks versus the regular, it was a split decision. Jules and I preferred one of the picks. Dillon actually preferred the regular version of it. Again, now that's not a single barrel product. When we did the Blantons, I think I picked the regular issue Blantons, and I think Jules might have as well. And then Dillon picked one of the store picks. So, it's a little surprising when you actually try them blind. You can just always be so surprised. Okay, so we got a vote here for 1792 from Anthony. All three, says Brenton. Ray says the Sweet Wheat. So that's two there for. Maybe I'll try to take some notes here. I'm not going to take notes. I'm just going to see what the general impression is here. This is non-scientific, guys. So that's 2 votes there for the 1792. Brenton Shaw, this is the way. Rebel Yell 100 from Ron. Sweet Wheat is what I'm drinking, says Marcin Coral. I get a lot of peanut in the shell. All three get lit. Buffalo Trace. All right, I'll give it another minute, but Sweet Wheat's in the running. So I've had this many times, so it will not be the first time for me. There's a local whiskey bar that used to have this on the menu for a very reasonable price. And every time I ended up there, a lot of the stuff was overpriced, but this was not. And I would order it on the regular. So, all right, Brenton says 1792 if I only have to choose one. Ron says, I've never seen that before. Please review it, 1792. All right, yeah. Well, we've gotten a lot of comments asking for 1792 drink throughs, and we would love to do one. It's hard to get enough of them, especially the special releases. Like, we weren't able to get the 12-year. I know they did a port finish one we weren't able to get. I don't even think we got the high rye. I wasn't really seeking them out for a while. So we might do one. It would maybe be a little bit limited, but we are also, for our barrel pick versus non-barrel pick, we do have a few of the foolproof ones ready for that. So that will be coming at some point. We have a lot of ideas for stuff, and we have a lot of bottles ready to be reviewed, and it just takes time to film it, get it edited, get it uploaded, get it released, all that stuff. So I wish I could just do this and it was done, and then we could get the content out. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Okay, it looks like Sweet Wheat is leading the pack pretty significantly here. So, all right. Never had Sweet Wheat. Okay. Brenton really wants me to drink all three of them. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it is. I'll go with the Sweet Wheat. Looks like that's the overwhelming favorite. I'll give it one more minute here. Uncle Buck asks a great question here. What's your favorite pour for a great price at a restaurant/bar? Well, so there's like the generic answer of what do I tend to order that's priced reasonably versus what's the best deal I've ever come across. Well, this I thought was a great deal when I was able to grab it in that one whiskey bar. I think the best experience I've ever had with actually something that was mispriced was there was a restaurant here, actually very close to where I live, actually right on the water here in San Diego. And it's kind of a nicer restaurant. It's not super nice, but they had a bottle of, I want to say the 2018 Old Forester birthday bourbon. And I saw it on the shelf, and I was sitting in the bar, some friends were eating some dinner. And I said, can I have a pour of that bottle that's at the top of the bar over there? And I was like, but let me know how much it is. And the waitress goes over, tells the bartender grabs it, looking at it, goes over to the manager and is like, what's this? And they finally come over, and the waitress is like, yeah, they couldn't find it. So they're ringing it up as regular Old Forester for you. So it was like, I don't know, it was like $12 a pour. And my buddy and I probably killed about half that bottle that night because it's just, when are you ever going to come across that? So, but as far as like my go-to, I don't know. It depends. If it's with a meal, I actually, I hate to say it because I don't really have a consistent one, but I feel like if I'm at a steakhouse, things are usually overpriced. But like something like Woodford or even just regular Michter's, it's nice. It's robust enough. It'll go well with like a steak or something like that. So if I was pressed to answer, that's maybe what I'd say for that. So, all right, Dram Chaser. Also another vote for the 1792 Sweet Wheat. Never seen it, nor the port finish. Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, I think this. I was looking at the laser code, and I think it's a 2018 bottle. So I got this a couple years ago. It's not easy to find. It is definitely not easy to find. And local shop, I had a good relationship with the owner. I think he posted it, and I sent him a message saying, "Hey, can you set one aside? I'll be there." And he didn't mark it up much. I want to say it was like $50. So harder and harder to find this kind of stuff. So let's crack into it. And I need a fresh glass for sure because this is not going to taste like anything else I had tonight. All right. Brenton asks a good question. How many bottles do you think you have in your collection? I have no idea. I've never counted. I mean, a lot of them make it over here to the set because we bring things over and then we don't end up getting to filming it and they just kind of sit here. Geez, I don't even know how to guess. I don't know. We've been talking about kind of doing some tours of our stashes, but my stash is so chaotic. I haven't wanted to do it, and Dillon's is the same way. But we are working on a shelving system here for at least the stuff that we have here on set. So maybe we'll do a little walkthrough of those when we get that set up, and I'll try to maybe get a number by then. Uncle Buck says, I was at a restaurant that was asking $28 for a Blanton's pour, then asked $12 for a pour of Stag Junior. Yes, I would be leaving funny too. So funny, actually, there's a restaurant at Disneyland called Napa Rose that has a Disneyland pick of Blanton's, and it's only, I want to say like $16 or $17 for a pour, so not crazy for Blanton's, but it was a good pick. All right, Jeff says I had a Yamazaki 12 at a bar for $10 a pour. Japanese whiskey wasn't popular. Yeah, that is a nice deal. All right, so 1792 sweet wheat, yes. So now 1792 Barton Distillery, they crank out a lot of stuff, man. And they obviously have a wheated mash bill, this one, and they release this periodically. I don't think they do a ton of it. They have a higher rye mash bill, and then they've got their normal mash bill that all the other stuff is. I first had this at that bar I was talking about that had it priced. I want to say it was like $12 a pour. I would have to check MSRP on this. When I got it, I want to say it was around $50. Wow, the nose is very gentle, lightly sweet, a little bit of grain, a little bit of not any of that funkiness. We say frunk when we talk about wheater frunk. I wish I had a ding sound that I could play. I don't. None of that funkiness, because you can sometimes get like this earthiness in a wheater, like a younger wheater. This is a very nice nose. Lightly sweet. Kind of like a thinned out caramel. I'm talking too much because my palate is dried up. That's the only downside of the other guys not being here is I don't give myself a break from talking. A gentle nose. I mean, the proof is not super high on this. We're at what, 91.2, so 45.6% alcohol. Let's try to get a nice close up there, yeah. And each of these special releases from Barton have a different color thing around the neck. And then the sticker on the back matches. All right. Not as intense of a sweetness that you would get from a Weller. Well, Weller 107. It's not that far off from maybe a Special Reserve. Not as grainy as Larceny can be. All right. Check the palate here. Oh yeah, a little spicy, but like it's been clipped. Like here's some spice, but it doesn't. It feels like it's gonna kind of tickle your palate, but it stops right before it gets there. Give it a second sip again. I'm a firm believer that the first sip tells you almost nothing, even though I just was talking about it. Yeah, it is a little spicy. The sweet, not super sweet on the palate. I don't know what the mash bill is on this, but I don't know that it's super high in wheat because not any of that caramel sweetness on the palate really. It's a lighter sweetness on the palate. It's pretty mellow on the palate. I would say it's not even as sweet as Special Reserve. A little bit more grainy, but in a pleasant way. I'm going to let it sit for a second, catch up on the chat here real quick. Yeah, epic deal with my birthday bourbon. I'm assuming, Marvin appreciates the way I pour, adds to the video. Yes, and Jeff called it there all over the table. Yes, usually. That was a good one, though. Jason says, best deal I had out was probably a Dusty Rock Hill Farms bottle that I found at a Cajun restaurant for $9 a pour. Fantastic. That's awesome. That's a good question. Finishing my Chinese food, so no drink yet. What is your go-to Chinese dish? Wow. Well, my go-to dish. Well, one of my favorites is a cumin beef dish. It's like heavy cumin, and it's one that one of my friends makes. I've talked about this on our podcast, I know, but there's like this. I've got a friend, and he and his wife cook this amazing feast every Chinese New Year, and that's one of the dishes that I always look forward to, and just blows me away every single time. And then there's way too much baijiu going on, and then I don't remember how I get home, but Yeah, one of those. Just heard Bernheim Weeder is releasing barrel proof this year. Interesting. So yeah, Bernheim weeded whiskey, not bourbon. An interesting dram there. So this is opening up a little bit. In a lot of ways, it doesn't quite deliver on the nose for me. The nose is really nice, a lot of sweetness, a lot of depth to it. There's like I said, that light caramel, like a thinned out caramel. Yeah, let me check the palate again. Yeah, this is very mellow. There's a decent balance of spice with that same kind of, maybe it does deliver. So a thinned out caramel. It's just not a very intense sweetness. The finish is pretty quick. It's an easy sipper. I have a sneaking suspicion that the Rebel Yell 100 will be a little bit better on. Maybe I should crack that one too, just for science. Let's just do it. I need to get another glass here. Or I need to rinse a glass out, which I will do with my Nikka. I knew I'd get roped into opening more than one. What can I do? Yeah, Rebel 100 I've not had. So I'm a big fan of the Rebel 10 year. That's just one of those overachievers is the way I would think of it. A bottle you can get for $70 that I think outperforms. I mean, it certainly outperforms the secondary prices on all the Wellers. Very competitive with any of the Buffalo Trace weeded stuff, I would say. All right. So, Uncle Buck, good question here. What's your most wanted bourbon to buy, try in 2021? Well, I'll tell you what. I always have a hard time answering these kinds of questions because so much of what I seek out now is stuff that I'm trying to get for the show. And I really want to put together a Weller drink through. So getting the CYPB and the single barrel bottles to add to the lineup would be fantastic. Would I normally be seeking those out? No. But I am for these purposes. Other than that, let me think about that. The one I always kind of seek out every year, by the way, we're going with some Rebel Yell 100 here, is the Four Roses limited edition small batch. It's consistently one of my favorite of the special releases and consistently one of the ones I seem to never get. I've had one bottle of it in my life, I think the 2017, and I love it. Oh, that cork is tight. Rebel Yell 100. All right. Look at that. I'm getting better at pouring. I think I'm good at pouring only on the live streams. Okay, so obviously higher proof here with the Rebel Yell 100. I want to be able to tell you guys what I paid for this, so I got to look it up. I think going off my memory, it's cheaper than what I paid for the sweet wheat. Here we go. I paid, it was priced $18, so definitely much cheaper. Let me do a quick catch up here. Realize I gotta not leave these comments up because it cuts off my face. You gotta be able to see this. Okay. Yes, tasting notes are exciting as a B-wing fighter. Thank you. This is a Y-wing fighter, by the way. That's like old school. I found it in my parents' garage, and I was amazed that it was still around. Ray, I tried the 100 at the distillery a few months ago and was surprised how good it was. Definitely a hitter for the price. Awesome. Jeff says, you're going to open all three, so just get more glasses. All right. No comment. Rebel Yell 10-year is a great bottle. Can you find it where you're at? Yes. And by the way, Scotch, thank you for being a member of Curiosity Private, our membership program. We appreciate the support. I feel like I've always been able to find it, but now that I think about it, I feel like every time I've bought it, it's been online. Maybe I got one in the store. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you do enough searching online, it's not that hard to find at like $70, $80. So I think at that price, it's a definite grab. I mean, it's, I think, excellent at that price point. Marco, thank you for being a member. I had Rebel Yell 100 and it tasted super young and grainy to me with an unappealing nuttiness. Interesting. Tantric Ninja. I went to a new restaurant and a new waiter filled a rocks glass to the rim with 4 roses small batch, $17 8-ounce pours. I have a somewhat similar story in Vegas, except it was a free drink that I got while I was sitting at a slot machine or video poker machine. And I think it was at the Cosmopolitan, which, by the way, they will pour you makers for free if you're playing. Most places will only pour you like Jim Beam. So I don't know. If you don't like makers, who cares? But I happen to enjoy makers. And if you sit there and you tip the nice people that bring you the drinks with like $5 the first time, they'll bring you one really quickly the next time. And I started getting like bigger and bigger pours as the night went on because I kept tipping. And one of those nights that I don't remember what happened. All right. Marvin says, I'm not trying to make you drink all of it, but I want your professional opinion on the Buffalo Trace. I see it all the time and I want to try it, but I hesitate. Yeah, well, this is a barrel pick. So again, this is basically like a single barrel version of Buffalo Trace, which is normally a blended product. And I would say it's a very approachable bourbon in general. 45% alcohol. It's pretty sweet. It goes down really easy. It's not particularly flavorful. I don't know. I don't dislike it. I don't love it, but it's here on the West Coast we can get bottles for like $20. It's really easy to find. I would not overpay for it. I would put it that way. At $20, I think it's a great bottle. Much higher than that, I don't know. I don't know that I would spend it. Okay, so this Rebel Yell is sitting here. I haven't even nosed it. Let's see what's going on with it. Yeah, there's a distinct graininess here. Somebody commented on that. I don't remember who it was. Sorry. Marco, yeah. Reminds me of the nose of Larceny a bit. Yeah, so the 1792 has none of that. This just has like a light caramel sweetness. This has a lot of sweetness, but it's like a peanutty, grainy sweetness. There's none of that frunk that we like to say. But it's definitely got that nuttiness and that a little bit of that graininess, but not off-putting. It's not too much that it's off-putting. I've had that flavor profile before where I don't like it, where I think it's off-putting. It's fine. It's fine. It's actually reasonably well balanced. Okay, let's check the palate on the Rebel Yell 100. So 100 proof, $17.99 I think is what I paid. $18. Okay, second sip. I'll wait this time before giving my comments. Spicier. It's grainier. Not sweeter. A little bit more bold. I mean, for $18, pretty good. Kind of reminds me of Larceny a little bit. It's not bad. I mean, it's not. The sweet wheat is more refined. Side by side, it gets a little bit blown out just because I think of the proof. But Yeah. If I'm going to sip on one, the sweet wheat's definitely the easier sipper. If you want something that's going to be pretty punchy for really cheap, Rebel Yell. It's not off-putting in any way. It's nice. It's spicier. It's a little more intense. A little less refined tasting. Probably would make an excellent cocktail. Not bad. Yeah, there's definitely that nuttiness. If you like that kind of peanutty hit, it's definitely in this Rebel Yell. Yeah, I mean, it's unoffensive. I mean, anybody that likes higher proof whiskey, they'd probably sip on this and be like, "That's pretty good." It is. It's pretty good, especially considering it's $18. If I did a blind between this and Larceny, I mean, I give the edge to the Rebel Yell for the proof. But hey, Larceny Barrel Proof just won like Whiskey of the Year, guys. So I guess that's got to be the best thing ever. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I'd say if you don't like a nuttiness in a whiskey, you're not going to like this. If you do kind of like it, you're probably going to think this is a steal at 17, $18. If you're kind of in the middle like I am, you're going to say you're probably not going to grab this to sip on usually, but it's certainly not bad to grab, especially for a mixer or for like a party drink. Like if I'm going to a party and you don't know what people are going to do with the bottles, and maybe it's not a very, as Dillon would call, a bourgeois party, you'd get away with this just fine. But if I'm sitting down and I want to chill out and watch a movie and I don't want something to distract and I just want something that's tasty and easy to drink, I'd probably reach for the 1792 over it. There's just no rough edges really on the 1792. It's almost a little bit too muted. It kind of reminiscent of Weller Special Reserve. That's kind of how I feel about it as well, which is like no rough edges. Maybe there's a little bit more flavor in this than the Weller Special Reserve, but on par, I would say, in a lot of ways. So, okay, great. Let me take a quick look at the chat here. I am losing my voice. Sorry. See what I missed. All this good stuff as I'm sipping on these whiskeys you guys are making me drink. Okay, Jason says, never seen any Rebel here, but this was a free state. Maybe they hold grudges. Tantric says, I had to get a to-go cup. Yeah. Marvin says, didn't know, so no worries. I mean, the flavor profile probably won't vary a huge amount. Again, that's why we like to do those barrel pick comparisons, because sometimes they can vary a lot and sometimes they don't vary a lot. Brenton says, I haven't found a pour I like more than Knob Creek Single Barrel. That's a hard one to beat, especially when you're factoring in price. You get the Knob Creek 120 proof, 9 years old, $40, $35. I mean, how do you beat that? It's so hard to beat that. So I agree there. All right, Jose, thank you for being a member. I pulled the trigger on Elijah Craig C920 because of your review of A121. Tomorrow I'm doing a blind tasting of the C920 Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof, 1792 Barrel Proof, and I'm guessing Booker's 2020 batch 2023. Yeah, interesting blind there. Or I don't know what I would say would pull off a win there. I would guess that the Elijah's or the Booker's, maybe those would be the highest proofs of them. A lot of the Jacks, I think, are still in the 120 range, although I think there's some that hit the 130. And then 1792 is going to be a 125 proof. I'll tell you what, I'd be happy to sip on any one of those four. So you will definitely, you're going to be the winner that night, that's for sure. All right, Tantric says, Buffalo Trace is one of my least favorite pours. No finish, and I get a lot of acetone from it. Never get that vanilla bomb experience. I've heard people say that. I do get a decent amount of sweetness from it. I just don't get a lot of finish. So I agree with you on the finish. Ron says, I put the Rebel Yell 100 in the fancy decanter for guests. No one has complained. Yeah, I don't think they would. It's funny, like you serve somebody something out of a nice bottle with no label, you'll get that kind of response. Okay, sorry. All right. All right, let me see. Catching up here. Sorry, guys. How long do you think it will take for Luxco to switch from sourced Heaven Hill to MGP juice due to the acquisition? That's a good question. I do know that Luxco has, in the interim, I know they've been sourcing from Heaven Hill forever, but I think about like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe even longer, they built their own distillery. So in Kentucky, and I think they've started distilling their own juice. One of my theories, I think we got into this in our podcast, is that MGP was actually looking for an inn to get their hands on a Kentucky distillery. So that now when you buy something and it's sourced from MGP, the label could say it's from Kentucky if they're getting juice from the Luxco distillery. So it may be that the Luxco stuff is coming to maturity now. Maybe it's been 5-6 years. I don't actually know how long it's been. Somebody can look that up. But how long will it take? I don't know. And I don't know that they will switch to Indiana Luxco distillate. They may just use what they've been distilling in Kentucky. So, and I don't know how long their contract is with Heaven Hill. So if their contract goes for another couple of years with Heaven Hill, maybe they'll keep doing that. Who knows? But I am interested to find that out. Ray says, I would be surprised if they switched to current lines to MGP juice. Not saying it's impossible, but I've never had anything from MGP that comes close to that profile. Yeah, I mean, I have to think that one through. I think MGP probably has stuff in their massive warehouses that could come close, but I don't know off the top of my head of anything that is particularly close. So, all right, Tantric says, my Buffalo Trace store pick is 10 years. It tastes oddly like Elijah Craig. Small batch, very off-profile Buffalo Trace with the spice. Yeah, I would agree with that. I was glad to see you guys felt the same about how good B520 was. I want to blind it against B517. Yeah, that would be an interesting one. For our non-members, at the end of our recent review of the A121, we did a head-to-head with the B520 and with Woodford Batch Proof, the 123-ish proof one that was around the same proof point. And I think we all agreed without any debate that the B520 was the better one. B520 was excellent. I think the C920 was also excellent. Probably two of the best that I've had. The B517 also excellent. I've got fond memories of that. I remember back in 2017, I don't know if we actually ever released it, but we did do a blind of the 3 2017 releases back in the Bourbon Guild days. And I remember very clearly that the B batch was the winner. And yeah, that was a fantastic bottle, but I'm going off memory, so I don't remember. I mean, I'd have to do them side by side to tell you which one I actually thought was better. All right. So I know everybody loves Buffalo Trace, man. Everybody loves Elijah Craig barrel proof. Everybody's got their favorite batch. Favorite is still C918, but B520 almost dethroned it. I think I've got an unopened bottle of C918 in my bunker still. I've got one bottle that's unopened, and I think I know it's a C batch, but I can't remember if it's 18 or 17. So I'll have to crack into that. If Jason says it's better, might have to try that. Maybe that'll be another live. Maybe I'll crack into that unopened bottle. All right. Oh, here's a good question from John. How would you rate San Diego for liquor hunting versus other cities? So I haven't hunted in very many other cities. I've made a few trips out to Kentucky and hunted out there, and it's really crappy hunting in Kentucky because there's a lot of people looking for stuff out there. I did find in Kentucky, I think the best deal I ever found was Weller Special Reserve at a Walmart for $13, which was pretty cool to find. there's stuff you can get out there. And when I was out there, they were still doing the Heaven Hill 6-year in the white label bottle and bond, and I bought a case of that, and I still have a couple bottles, luckily. There's other things you can only get out there. I think there's the Bardstown bottle and bond. There's the other Heaven Hill green label that's only available out there. Early Times, which is available in other states, but not here on the West Coast. That's a nice one to get out there. But as far as finding rare bottles, it might actually be easier in San Diego. I don't know. It's not easy anywhere. I'm convinced it's just getting harder and harder for everybody everywhere. All right. A lot of people liking the C918. Nav says, really enjoy this channel. I recently tried Maker's Mark 46 and Eagle Rare. I prefer the Makers. What do you recommend I try next? Wow. That's like a blank slate, man. Maker's 46 is a great spot to be in because it's inexpensive and it's easy to find. And there's not a lot of things that taste quite like Maker's 46. From there, honestly, if you really like that, you might like some of the other weeded bourbons. So we talked about Rebel Yell, which I drank earlier, the 100. You might want to try to track down a bottle of the Rebel Yell 10-year. It's going to be a little more expensive, but if you liked Maker's 46, it's going to be a little bit of a richer, maybe a different kind of sweetness, more of a caramel sweetness, but you would probably like that. If you want to find things that are readily available and you want to stick to bourbon, what would I go to next that's readily available? I always tell people to go to Woodford, because from Woodford, you're going to get this great circle of flavor, and you can kind of figure out what aspects of this do I like. You may not like the Woodford, but I feel like the Woodford can be a good signpost to direct you where you want to go. So if you find you like the spices better, depending on which of the spices you like better, you might want to go down this, like the high rye route. Maybe you're going to want to go to some straight ryes. If you like the sweets more, then maybe you're going to want to go to some of the Buffalo Trace stuff. Maybe you're going to want to go to some of the other weeded bourbons. I wish I had a better answer for you. It's such a personalized thing. I almost feel like you need a personal whiskey consultant, and maybe that's the future of what I'm going to do for people. No. Try. All right. Bourbon Collect says, not sure if you're a Padres fan, Dutch, but they might make history tonight. What are they going to do? I like the Padres just fine. So I grew up a diehard Oakland A's fan. But then I got completely disillusioned with baseball like in 2004, 2005. And I switched to soccer. And all I watch now is soccer. So I'm one of those weirdos. But I do like the Padres. I've got no problem with the Padres. I like going to the games. Except when I broke my finger trying to catch a foul ball there. And I seriously destroyed. I feel like I was almost going to lose the finger. It was so bad. All right, Ernie. Virginia just had their lottery for Pappy 23. 66,000 entries for 3 bottles. Holy crap. Okay, guys. Well, all right. Let's just crack it. Let's just crack it. You guys have had such interesting questions that I feel like I need to wet my whistle with something fresh. So we're going to try this barrel pick Blanton, Buffalo Trace, also from the same distillery. All right. So what is the history that the Padres are going to make? I don't know what that is. Maybe you'll let me know. Yeah. And I really did destroy my finger at a Padres game. I was like kind of behind home plate, off towards the first base side, and this foul ball came right over the net, and it was coming super fast. And I just instinctually reached for it because it was like above my head, and it just almost took this finger off, and it got super swollen, got bloodied. They escorted me to the medical thing, and the guy was like, "Okay, it's not broken. You're okay. Do you want some extra tickets?" And it hurt like hell for like a week. Couldn't use my hand. It was super swollen. All right, Marvin, this is for you. I see your comment there. Cracking into the Buffalo Trace. So I think to this point, I've got maybe 2, maybe 3 other barrel picks. We might try to find one more before we do our Comparo. see how this one is. It's never been my favorite bourbon. It's always been a very easy one to drink, but I don't know. I see why people like it. That's a good nose. It's actually a really good nose. Yeah, this is a sweet. And again, I'm talking about a single barrel here. This is not necessarily going to represent what the regular off-the-shelf Buffalo Trace is going to taste like. So this seems to have a much better nose than, yeah, it's actually a really nice nose. Wow, yeah, that's a really nice nose. So there's a good amount of that caramel sweetness, a touch of spiciness, very, 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 very little bit of spiciness. I think if you're new to bourbon, Buffalo Trace can be a really easy one to sink your teeth into, but it's not necessarily the most complex or interesting one. So, all right. Oh, this is a very nice nose. There's a lot of vanilla coming through. There's something else in there. I can't quite put my finger on the flavor, but let's check the palate. I will save my comments for the second sip. Second sip. Here we go. Getting real here. The nose is better than the palate. The palate's not great on this. It's a little surprisingly spicy. I mean, the nose is rich vanilla, sweetness. Palate comes down. There's none of that, not a lot of that sweetness at all. Very weird. Let me cleanse my palate here and see if I'm missing something. All right, I'll try this again. Yeah, really spicy and quite a bit of grain. So yeah, not loving the palate on this one. A lot of the other Buffalo Trace, I mean, the regular issue Buffalo Trace, based on my memory, and I haven't had it in a while, definitely a little bit sweeter, matches the nose of this a little bit better. This nose is still phenomenal. It's so weird. It's a very different experience on the palate. Yeah, quite a spicy nose. Surprisingly spicy nose. All right. Well, all right. Well, guys, I'm nearing the end here. I want to thank everybody for showing up. I want to remind everybody that that little thing scrolling on the bottom of the channel here tells you that you can get some of our shirts like this one on our Spreadshirt site. There's some other shirts there that we've worn in some episodes. There are some shirts there that we have not yet worn on any of our episodes. If you would like to support the channel, that's a great way to do it. It's also great to drop a super chat. It's also great to join Curiosity Private, which is our membership program here. If you join Curiosity Private, you also get access to special videos that we do only for members. What those tend to be right now are comparisons. So basically with all of the new reviews we're filming, we're going to be comparing, we're going to do like a quick head-to-head at the end of it. And we don't usually determine that until the end of the review, or during the review, we'll figure out, okay, hey, we should do a head-to-head with this. And then we'll film that. That's exclusive content for members. Members also get early access to all of our videos, usually, depending on how quickly I get them edited. Yeah, I'm going to hang out for a few more minutes here and just check on chat because I see a bunch of comments coming through. But thank you guys so much for joining. I really do appreciate it. All right, Tantric says, so what's your favorite synth-heavy movie soundtrack? Oh man, I hate getting asked the question of like, what's my favorite? Because I'm not. I don't know, man. It depends on what day of the week you ask me. I do like. I mean, I love Blade Runner. I mean, that's kind of a cop out because that's kind of classic. Geez, synthetic. I mean, I gotta say Beverly Hills Cop too. Beverly Hills Cop 1 also, because that's classic. That's great. Some of the Rocky stuff, like the Vince DiCola stuff, which needed a mix of synth stuff, so it wasn't super synth heavy. But Harold Faltermeyer with like the Beverly Hills Cop stuff was just fantastic. He also did Fletch, which has a great soundtrack. One of my favorite movies ever. But yeah, one of those. But yeah, let's hear what you guys think in the comments. That's a good question. All right, Jose says, I want a Stag Junior. Haven't been able to find it in San Diego. If someone wants to swap, I'm in. Yeah, you know what? Like a year ago, even, I feel like it wasn't that hard to find it. Now it's just impossible. I wish I had a hookup for you, but I really don't. I mean, the best thing I always say is find a local liquor store, keep going in there, try to talk to the owner. If they're cool enough to set one aside and not gouge you for it, it tends to still be a decent strategy. Jason says, building synths is my day job. Always keen to hear synth chat. Yes, I think you've mentioned this before. Awesome stuff that you do. I'm sure those things are way more awesome than anything I can do with like programming and crap. Marvin, you're very welcome. Glad to hang out with all of you guys on Friday. Cheers to you, James. You too. Ernie, you're welcome. Enjoyed the Elijah Craig Bellproof video and the members video. The members videos are worth the membership fee. See you next time. Cheers, Ernie. Thank you very much for your support. Jeff says, what's coming out next? Okay, so next video, you guys get some scoop for hanging out with me for 2 hours. Next video is going to be our 18-year-old Scotch blind. So we filmed kind of this no-holds-barred 18-year-old Scotch blind. It's actually a really old video. So you'll see the old background before we changed it up a little bit. We've actually got a lot of that old footage, so you're going to be seeing those videos coming through in the next few weeks, because we filmed some new stuff that was kind of relevant because some of the bottles were still new. So there's going to be a couple more of those coming. I think we got like the Woodford Very Fine and Rare, which is still out there, so we're going to try to rush that one out. We've got there's one other newer one. Oh, the new tequila from LeBron James. That one will probably be out there pretty soon. But next video is going to be the 18-year-old Scotch Super Showdown. If you remember, we did a little teaser video of it back when we filmed it, which was like probably like 3 months ago at this point. So it's just kind of been sitting on the back burner. But yeah, I think we had 6 bottles of 18-year-old Scotch, a range of peated stuff, sherried stuff, and stuff in the middle. And we actually did have a winner, which was surprising. And it was not one that any of us anticipated. So it was a fun video. I'm not sure. I mean, a better comparison would be breaking them into the categories of kind of the Islas versus the Space Sides versus whatever. But this was kind of fun. We just wanted to throw it out there and see what happened with it. So it was a fun one. All right. I like IT follows and anything John Carpenter. Yes, fantastic. Trent Reznor, most any movie he does. Yeah, Trent Reznor does some awesome stuff. Agree with you there. Jose, what's Dutch's favorite daily drinker? It's hard to say. So much of what I buy and what I drink now is for the show, so it's not. I'm not necessarily drinking what I just want to reach for. A lot of times it's opening things that I need to open up or trying something before we're going to do like a drink through or something like that. So I don't drink for my own enjoyment very much, especially in between filming. So what would I say that I really like reaching for? I've got a few bottles that I kind of found myself going to more frequently than I would have expected. So the older Wild Turkey rare breeds, I've got like a 112 proof one that I'm very close to killing the bottle, and I don't want to because I've really been enjoying it. A lot of I've had a couple of bottles of the 1792 Foolproof store picks that I just think they're just great sippers. You can put a piece of ice in there, it'll mellow it out, and be just really tasty. So I hate that question because I want to have a better answer for you, but I just don't have a better answer for you. All right. Keep up the great content. Get Jules under control. Yeah, seriously, man. That guy's a lunatic. Especially if you saw our top 5 whiskeys. I don't know what to say. We had fun with that. That's all I can say is we were having fun. All right, guys. The Buffalo Trace hasn't gotten any better. I'm gonna pick something here to have my final sip of. And I think I'm going to go all the way back to the Black Label Nikka and see how this has changed. Tantric says, you got me all killing Foursquare and ruining bourbon for me. Yeah, seriously, man. And it's not as hard to find, which is the great thing about it. I just saw that RL Seal is releasing another line of rums. And Richard Seal is the guy behind Foursquare. And I just feel like they're just cranking out stuff. And everything I've tried has been fantastic. So it's just not fair. It's not fair. We did do a really big rum drink through that's going to be coming out in the near future. It's an agricole drink through. One of our members requested it, and that one will be very different. Just looking at what we got lined up for the future too. So we haven't filmed these yet. We'll probably be filming them in the next few months, but we've got a spot drink through coming up, which is we've got all the spots. I think the yellow spot, the blue spot, the couple of the different green spot finished ones, and the regular green spot. I just got an order in for a red spot that should be coming soon, and I think that's all the spots. So the spot drink through is coming up. We've got a Remus drink through that we're going to be getting to. We've got almost all the Remus. We didn't get batch 1, unfortunately, but we're going to have all the other ones, and then the regular Remus. The other ones I've mentioned, we've got actually a Hennessy one coming up, believe it or not, of the I think Blenders collection. And yeah, so a lot of cool stuff in the pipeline. Christopher says, did Mr. Dillon really drink real GTS out of a pint glass and then recently long pour real GTS off the deck? He made me sign an NDA. So I don't know. Let's just leave it to the mystery. Let's just have a little bit of mystery in the world, you guys. Come on. Not everything needs an answer. But I will answer about the Nikkas. Just back to square one where I started today. Don't lose your mind over either one of these, I would say. Don't stock up on the black label. It's not significantly different than the new white label. But that being said, I still really do enjoy this dram, both of them. So, all right, yeah. See spot 1. How close is regular RL Seal to Foursquare? I don't know. Have not done them side by side, and that will remain to be seen. We're gonna probably get one of those reviews in eventually. Rum is, as far as reviews are concerned for us, it's kind of newer. I mean, we've all sipped on them in the past, but I've never really dug into them from an analytical perspective. Marvin's got a good question here. Got to ask, being at the end now, are you even buzzed at all, or are you fine? I am developing a little bit of a buzz. Yeah, I have a decent tolerance in general, and I didn't pour myself huge pours, and I've got a little bit left on most of these. So I overall probably had maybe like 4 proper drinks over 2 hours with, a big glass of water mixed in. So yeah, I'm okay. I'm super paranoid about, I never drive if I've had anything to drink at all. That's just me. With Uber, there's no reason to, so I never do that. And in lockdown, I've never had any reason to, so that's also been nice. But I appreciate the question. Some people can just handle it better, I guess. I don't know. But it's weird. It's on another night, sometimes it'll hit me differently. And nothing I drank was particularly high proof either. I think the highest proof was the Rebel Yell at 100. So that also makes a difference. But there you go. All right, guys. Well, it's been almost exactly 2 hours. There's some other awesome streams going on tonight. So I think ADHD Whiskey's got a cool blind tasting thing with a couple of other awesome channels. Bourbon Blind, which to this day, they've still got the best concept for any YouTube channel. They are doing like a head-to-head blind tasting thing with a couple of other channels. I think Trev Bourbon Wrench is there and Shelf Turds. So that should be fun. I know ADHD Whiskey's got his Beagle Rare, or no, Old Charter. I don't know what it's called. He's got like his special blend thing that he's going to be sending to all the Whiskey Tube, and we got included in that. So at some point, we're going to get that bottle, and that should be pretty fun. We get to taste it, and then we get to add something to it. I don't know if the rules are going to specify that we have to add whiskey, but maybe we'll slip in some tequila or rum. I don't know. I shouldn't say that because now they'll kick us out of it, but. Cool. All right, guys. Everybody have what does Jules say? Stay safe, stay healthy, stay curious. I say stay curious, but he says a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. Again, check out Curiosity Private. Check out the shirt shop, link in the description, shop.spreadshirt.com/curiosity-public. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I've had a lot of fun. I've tried a lot of cool stuff. Hopefully this was fun for you guys. If you're watching this on replay, thank you for doing that. Hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications so you know when we do impromptu lives, if we ever do that. I don't know if we will. But have a good night, guys. Cheers.